At the end of the day, we're trying to create cash flow. We're trying to create more compound interest and dividends. And the only way you're creating more compound interest and dividends is if you put more money in or you start more policies. Nelson had 49 policies. Hello, 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 and welcome back to the podcast. Thank you very much for being here. John and I are back again. We are back into the Becoming Your Own Banker book. We are going to be doing chapter reviews through the whole book. So if you want to tune in now, fantastic. We have 2 other podcasts that we've already hit on the beginning. We've hit on the introduction and the beginning chapters. So we are now to imagination. This is basically a half a page.
Yep. Not a very long one.
Yeah. Nope. Not very long, but impactful. The very first thing is Nelson saying the infinite banking concept is an exercise in imagination, reason, logic, and prophecy. And I think that it is still super important. He calls it the infinite banking concept because it's infinite. Use your imagination. You got to use some reason as to why this might be different than a 401k or an IRA. You got to use some logic in there. And so I actually do talk about this a lot. Imagination, reason, and logic. The prophecy piece of it, I tend to leave off because I don't really know what that is outside of Nelson saying, hey, God created all of this and the government is coming in and, getting their fingers in the mix. But outside of that, it's really imagination. And so many people don't have imagination. It's frankly been killed in our school systems, in my opinion. And so that is the beginning of that chapter. If you're really questioning infinite banking or you're poo-pooing it right away, or somebody you're talking to is poo-pooing it right away, where's their imagination, reason, and logic? They probably don't have any. So you're just banging your head against a wall. Why bother?
Yeah, and the imagination piece of it too is like when people ask you, well, they spit an idea to you and they're like, well, does that work with this? And it's like, you can do anything. It doesn't matter what it is. Unless it's a really stupid idea, you can pretty much do anything out of here.
Right. But even stupid ideas can be financed through the policy.
Yeah, you can still do it. It might not work. But, in this chapter too, Nelson he's not claiming he invented life insurance. He's just invented a thought process around how to use it. Just like this mathematician figured out whatever this number thing. But,
basically the whole story is some kid that figured out how to do math really quickly.
Yeah.
And Nelson said he did not invent that fact. It was already there. Nelson didn't invent paid up additions riders. He didn't invent life insurance. He just saw that it was already there and he put it into practice.
Yeah.
So people will say to us, well, how come I didn't know about this? And how long has it been around?
Forever.
200 years. It's not like Nelson came. I think somebody asked me that. I had a meeting a couple of weeks ago and the guy was a bit confrontational. And he was like, so did this guy just invent this? No, he did not invent it. It was there. He just discovered that, hey, I can do all of this stuff through a whole life insurance policy as effectively as if I'm going to do it through anything else.
Yep. So this imagination chapter leads into the grocery store. And it's part of that.
So let's hit the grocery store.
Yeah. So in this chapter, again, this grocery store is just like a parable for the startup of a policy, right? What did we just, kind of broke this down into 6 different little main points here, and they kind of line up with paragraphs. But the first one is you start it all by studying what the grocery business is all about. So when you buy the book and you read about that is your studying. You have to do all your info gathering to kind of figure out what the whole concept is in the first place, right?
Yep. And he says this is going to take some time and expense. So you're going to put some time into watching videos and listening to podcasts and buying books and reading books. There's going to be time into studying how you're going to start your grocery store or your policy.
Yes. Those people you meet with and they're like, oh, I've read the books 8 times already. It's easy to have a meeting with somebody like that because they're like a pro at it before you even meet with them. Like they understand what is happening here because they've done all the research.
Yep. And number 2, number 1, you're studying. Number 2, you must now find a good location for your business. You're going to have to spend some time locating the right place. Well, here
Yes.
he's talking about, hey, I'm going to need to find a good agent and I'm going to need to find a good company. And I'm going to have to maybe spend some time doing that. And maybe you don't have to spend as much time on that if you spent more time on number one. You can trust your agent. You can trust the person that's on. If you're listening to a podcast and you're like, hey, I trust John and Mary Jo. Great. Then we know that we've done our due diligence on the side of the company.
Yep. And that leads into point 3 there. Then you must construct a very nice looking building on the property. That's just saying that when you start a policy, make sure it's properly structured and that, whatever agent you chose to work with and company has the proper structure so that you can get the most out of it.
And then we've got the 4th step. Now you must stock the store with groceries. Going to have to pay premium. How many things do you want on your shelf? How much money do you want to pay for premium?
Yeah, and he says in there, who wants to go into an empty grocery store? Nobody, right?
Where there's just peanuts.
The shelves are fully stocked, right?
Yep.
Point 5 is all of this means that you are going to have to restock the storeroom at intervals to ensure that you have immediate access to a bountiful supply. So that means that you're going to have to pay premium every year for X amount of years so that you have the amount of money in the policy that you can do what you're trying to get done with that cash.
Yep. Or you're going to have to pay loans back. So
Correct,
you have
yeah.
money to go back. So you have the ability to go back and borrow again.
Yep.
Point number 6, the more you turn your inventory, the more money that you make. And he talks about the fact that if you turn your inventory 15 times, you break even. If you turn your inventory 20 times, you made more money to buy more inventory to make more money. And so turn your inventory, take loans. Take loans and go do things outside of the policy with those loans so that you have more money.
Get the money flowing.
Yes. And then he goes on to say probably more businesses have been destroyed or severely limited by the sort of behavior than anything else, meaning taking groceries out the back door and never paying for them. So a lot of people will say, is a life insurance company going to be there? What's going to happen if the dollar goes digital? They worry about all these external things when in reality, they are the biggest reason that this is going to fail.
Correct. Not paying your premium, not paying your loans back, paying minimum forever, like things like that.
Yep. You can pay interest only and you're okay. But you can't be stealing the peas, as Nelson talks about. Because as soon as you start stealing the peas, you don't have the extra money. So why are you not paying that back? It's not free money.
Yeah.
He also talks about selling your product at wholesale prices versus retail prices. AKA, why are you only paying the life insurance company back at the loan they're charging you when you were willing to pay somebody else a higher interest rate, pay it back at retail prices, not wholesale prices. And then guess what? You have more money.
Yep. For other business ideas or for more premium.
Yeah.
Human instinct is to do the bare minimum there, to not pay things back. So you're fighting that human instinct.
Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, we're trying to create cash flow. We're trying to create more compound interest and dividends. And the only way you're creating more compound interest and dividends is if you put more money in or you start more policies. Nelson had 49 policies. Why did he have 49 policies? Because when he was charged 23% interest, he paid it back at 23%, even though they were charging him 5 to 8. He had more money. He used that money to start more policies.
Yep. He needed a place for that dollar to go.
Yep. Okay. That was short. That was our fastest review yet.
Yeah, we did good there.
Imagination, that is imagination, and the grocery store. I'm going to be honest, the grocery store, I did not understand. Well, I'm not good with parables. Like, just tell me. I often told Nelson, just what are you trying to say? I don't understand. And because my mind was not in the right spot. And so this really is why I like to do chapter reviews of Nelson's book, is because I myself did not understand it.
Explain
for a
it to
very
me
long
like I'm
time.
5. Yeah.
Just tell me what to think, and then I can start thinking about it. But I don't know why P's relate to life insurance, Nelson.
Yeah.
But that is how Nelson taught. It is how Nelson was. And so we're just trying to break it down for you.
I remember reading this chapter like the first time I got Nelson's book, being like, what is he talking about here? A grocery store? How does this make sense? Yep.
I didn't get any of it. I got the first couple of chapters and I was like, man, I love this concept. And then wait till we get into headwinds and tailwinds. And I'm like, whoa. All right, guys, that is what we've got for you today. If you do not have the book, you can go to farmingwithoutthebank.com and get my book and get Nelson's book together. And then once you have read that, feel free to make your appointment with John or I so we can help you figure out if it's a fit or not and go from there. Somebody told me the other day, it's so nice. You haven't even pressured me to buy anything. And it's the second meeting. He still hasn't bought anything. It's the second meeting I've had with him. And he's like, it's so nice to not be pressured into anything. I'm like, no, just here. We're here to help. We're here to try to figure out if it's a fit or not. So if you make your appointment, we're not going to hold a gun to your head that you have to buy a policy.
I can confirm we will not do that.
All right. You guys, you have a fantastic rest of your day.
Thanks for listening to the Farming Without the Bank podcast. We hope today's episode has inspired you to take control of your finances in new ways. Don't forget to check out our website, farmingwithoutthebank.com, and engage with us on our Facebook page, Farming Without the Bank. Join us next week as we smash more financial myths and empower you to accomplish your financial goals.